After 6 long years, I finally went to Japan. For those of you guys who don't follow our Instagram, I was in Japan for 10 days with some friends, and basically we're just enjoying the sights, enjoying the food, and all that Japan has to offer. But I'm here to pose the question, is it really worth it? I know you guys have seen videos about Japan, how it's such an amazing place and all those, this, that, and the third. But as somebody who's actually been there for the first time, I wanted to let you guys know, is it worth going? Or is it all just hype? Now, for those of you guys who are new here, this is BestNetTravel, half of BestNetTravel with your boy John Doe Mondo. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about Japan. When I was in Japan, I went to Osaka, Kyoto, and Tokyo, of course, which is where I flew in. And I stayed at every accommodation there was, from hotels to hostels to Airbnbs, and I even stayed in a capsule hotel for one night. So that's 4 different types of accommodations. So I'm here to be able to let you guys know the comfortability, the prices, and all that good stuff. So first of all, we're going to answer the question, is Japan really worth it to go to in 2025? And my answer is an astounding yes. Japan is definitely worth it. And I don't know about you guys, but this trip has been about 6-7 years in the making. So I know a lot of you guys have been planning to go to Japan, but you haven't gone yet. This is your sign that you need to go. And I hope this video inspires you to, get motivated to want to go to Japan, to want to book your flight, because I know you guys have the means if you just focus on it, but it's just you didn't plan in time, all of a sudden the summer comes, and then you don't have the funds to do it. But if you really apply yourself to it, you could do anything that you want in this world. And this world is meant to be explored. But a lot of people have Japan misunderstood, and I'm here to expose a lot of those misunderstandings. So we started off my trip flying. I did a connection from Seattle to Los Angeles all the way to Tokyo, Haneda Airport. By the way, side note, LAX is probably one of the worst airports in the entire world in terms of logistics. Honestly, I'm not a big fan. But that's a whole nother video that we can get to later. By the way, there's a lot of preparation videos. I'm going to link some down below in this video that can get you guys set up. But to make things short, there's this app that you need to download. I'm going to link the app right on the screen right now. With that app, you can check in, go through customs, immigration, declare all your items and whatnot. Therefore, you get to line up in the shorter line, even though the day that I came, both lines were pretty long. So it didn't really matter for me. So as soon as I got in, I met up with my friends. I exchanged some money at 7-Eleven, which, by the way, a big mistake. I'm pretty sure if you go to an actual counter, the counter that's in the airport, you should be able to get a better exchange rate than if you do it at 7-Eleven. Because I did it at a kiosk there, and I'd lost about $10. It wasn't too bad, but if you guys aren't willing to lose that money, then it's probably best that you do it that way. We ended up taking the Shinagawa line and then transferring to the JR Yamanote. And then that's where I was able to go to my first hostel that I stayed at, which was in Shibuya. Now, my first time seeing Shibuya Crossing, man, that was amazing. Or at least I think it was. It was pretty surreal that I didn't even really have the words. And honestly, it looks a lot different when you're on ground level as opposed to like you're looking at a bird's eye view or looking at it from Shibuya Sky, the crossing. And so it was about like maybe a 5-minute walk, and I got to my hostel, and this was probably one of the most futuristic hostels that I've ever seen in my life. Everything was clean, everything looked very professional. It didn't even look like a hostel. It looked like one of those, it almost looked like a high-class capsule hotel. That's what it kind of looked like. And so I stayed there. And honestly, if you guys want to be able to meet people when you're traveling, hostels are the best bet when it comes to that. I met so many different kinds of people there who were into different kinds of things, who basically told me the lay of the land when I got there. They told me about some of the cool places to hang out in Shibuya, cool restaurants. We're talking about people from all over the world. I met some people from Australia, America, different parts of Asia like Singapore, France, everywhere. So let me get to the nitty gritty of it. Why is Japan worth going to? By the way, as I'm making this video, I hope I can motivate you guys to get off your butts right now and book that trip, because I know some of you guys have the means, some of you guys might not have the means for a few months, but as soon as you have that, as soon as you're ready, you guys need to make that trip, and you guys need to do it now. And I'm going to tell you why there needs to be some kind of urgency. Number one, Japan is cheap when it comes to food, activities. Everything is cheap, and I don't know if it's going to be cheap for long, so you should probably jump on that right now. For example, when we went to 7-Eleven, you know how people talk about the famous 7-Eleven food, how it's, very affordable, this, that, and the third. I got like a nice egg sandwich. I got an onigiri. And I got all that for like less than $5. And it was enough to fill me up. And what they say about the egg sandwiches is exactly what you think. Japan is really cheap, even when it came to activities. I'm going to show this in a separate video, but we went and we did the street cart, Mario Kart racing. I actually met some pretty cool people while I was doing that, and it was a lot of fun. When I was out there, basically what happens is you book in advance, and then you go to the location. There's different locations. There's one, I think, near Tokyo Bay, and then there's one in Shibuya. There might be other ones, but I'm not too sure. But as soon as you get there, they run through the instructions. You might feel like you're getting overwhelmed at first, but honestly, it's really not that bad. And as soon as you get on the road, everything becomes a lot easier. And you're going to be riding for about an hour and a half or so. And honestly, after that first little rush, it was amazing. And it felt like it went by a lot quicker than that hour. But yeah, you get to dress up as in these like funny little costumes. Honestly, it's a really good time. It's Mario Kart in real life. It's exactly how it sounds. So I'm going to post a whole nother video about that very soon. So stay tuned for that. Activities are cheap, food is cheap, amongst other things, and accommodations. I actually stayed in a capsule hotel. I'm going to give a full breakdown for that as well. But to say the least, it wasn't the most comfortable, I'm not going to lie. You're basically staying in a capsule, so it's designed for people who just want to sleep, get up, and get after it. So usually people who stay for like one night, maybe if they're traveling, they'll stay for a few nights, but they have business elsewhere that they take care of, because I think it was about $30 a night. Honestly, you're getting what you pay for. $30 a night basically gets you a bed, access to, a lounge area, a shower, like a bath area, all kinds of different things. But like I said, you get what you pay for. And I know you guys have seen all kinds of videos about it, so I don't mean to burst your bubble, but that's the reality of it. It's cool. It's a cool experience to experience one time. I think everybody should probably do it one time. But in terms of the most comfortable accommodations, probably not. Now, the second thing is the people are amazingly kind. Now, a lot of you guys have this idea in your head that, Japan is a safe place. There's no crime that happens in Japan. Well, that's not exactly true. But one thing I can say is that the people, no matter where you're at in Japan, or at least for my experience, Shibuya, Shinjuku, Kyoto, Osaka, all the people are very kind and very friendly. But they're a little bit shy at first. It just so happened that I'm able to speak a little bit of Japanese, enough to get by at least. So I was able to, open up when I needed help in Japanese. And, people were actually quite intrigued, and they wanted to get to know who you were, where you were coming from, and why did you decide to learn it? Because the average foreigner in Japan doesn't speak Japanese. I would suggest learning Japanese. It's a really good way for you to make Japanese friends. 日本語でいいよ。びっくりしました。ありがとうございます。パスポートください。そう。元気ですか? Get invited to places that you might not elsewhere get invited to. I remember we were talking to these people in Shinjuku, and this guy had a really nice car, and I was just like, oh, 車写真大丈夫ですか? And he was just like, oh, 大丈夫. And so we started talking to the guy. The guy spoke perfect English as well. He's just like, oh, where you learn Japanese, man? I was just like, I just learned it online. And he was just like, oh, and then the more we started talking, the more I got to know where he was from. He's really into cars. I wanted to figure out if there was any cool car meets nearby. And it was more so just like an invite basis. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube finding ways to get into these car meets, and honestly, I gotta find some kind of tutorial to be able to do that. Because, bro, I needed that footage, but too bad. I couldn't get that for you guys. I'm so sorry. Either way, he invited us to this party that we weren't able to go to, obviously because we were going to Osaka the next day. But that's kind of an example of a door that can get open if you're able to speak the language, or if you're outgoing enough to be able to want to connect with people. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect, just know a few words to be able to open the conversation. And then, because a lot of Japanese people aren't very confident about their English skills. And so as soon as you open up with Japanese, they're going to feel less intimidated. They're going to be like, okay, well, he's trying, so I'm going to try. Instead of just going at them with English, they might be a little bit put off, and then they're going to be like, oh, I don't speak English. Even though most people, in my experience, can understand basic English. But speaking is a whole other story, of course. And for the third reason, Japan is an amazing place for people who are young. And the reason I say that is because there's all kinds of activities, like the ones I listed above. Mario Kart, there's these ninja shows. And Japan is a place in which you're going to be walking a lot. If you're from a big city, for example, Los Angeles, or cities like that, you're probably not used to walking that much on a daily basis, because you get in your car, you drive to work, and unless you're a very active person, you're not going to be walking. Now, if you're from New York City, you might be kind of used to that, or San Fran. But Japan is a city, there's a meme about it, people go to Japan to relax, but they end up just walking the whole time. And that's because, taking the trains, everything is going to be a commute. People are commuting like hours and hours throughout the entire day. And if you want to get anywhere, which you can do that by getting access to a Suica card, and you can do that before you get to Japan, which I'll link a video for that down below as well. But that's one thing you guys need to make sure of. And, some people, when they get old, they might not be in the mood to be able to walk as much. But if you're watching this video based on my demographics, you're still pretty young. And because you're pretty young, you're going to be able to, have the energy to be able to walk multiple places, be able to explore thoroughly. And then, the more you wait, the older you're going to get, the less energy you're going to have overall. The less willing you'll be to be able to take long walks, like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 steps a day while you're in Japan. So I would recommend, make sure you go while you're young, because there's a lot of activities for young people, especially in Shibuya. Shibuya nightlife is very exciting. Shopping opportunities. Shinjuku is also like very lively. Things like that. Roppongi, all those areas. You want to make sure that you're experiencing these things while you're young, because you don't want to be that person who tells your old self, like, oh, I had so much time, but I don't know why I didn't use it. Well, it's because of, whatever reason. I know some people have personal reasons, but a lot of you guys just don't want to take that leap because you're either scared, or because you're unsure, or because you're apathetic about it. But I would recommend you guys get after it today. And if you guys want to figure out tips and tricks on how to get the cheapest flights and more things like that, then make sure you guys like and subscribe to this page, because we're going to be posting videos like that very, very soon. And we have some videos like that already in our channel. I'm going to link some up above. We actually have one with me talking about how much I actually spent on my flight to Japan. I'm not going to get into that today, but just know that I was able to save a lot of money just based off of simple timing tactics and a lot of flight trackers and like surveying different deal websites. So it's going to be easy for you guys to do as well. So make sure you guys check that out and get after it. The last reason why you guys should be going to Japan this year is a reason that you already know. It's just that you won't accept it. And that reason is being, you already want to go. And I know that you do. The reason why I already know that you do is because you clicked on this video. So you're a little bit curious about it. Now, I want to encourage you guys to go because I want you guys to be less ignorant about the world. Get to know your surroundings, get to know people, get to know different experiences, get to know people's different walks of life. And I'm going to make my point. I'm going to make my point by dropping a little anecdote. So we were actually in Osaka. It was the three of us. We were just waiting on a train, and there was an old man who was just sitting by the benches. Now, mind you, Japan has a very old population, so finding an old man, old people are kind of, people who are 40 and above, that's kind of the majority of the population, depending on where you're at, especially in the smaller cities. So then the old man looked at me. By the way, because I spoke Japanese, I could understand him, but also I actually had my suitcases with me because we were about to board the Shinkansen, and he said something to me, and I couldn't hear him, and then so I came a little bit closer, and I said, what did you say? And he's just like, where are you guys from? And we said, oh, we're from America. And then he gave me this look. He looked me in the eyes. And he said, and by the way, our train was about to come, so we needed to, I was kind of just looking out for the train on the tracks, but at the same time I was listening to him. But he looked at me in the eyes and he was just like, thank you for coming. And he like shook my hand like so slightly. And I'm not saying to say that all, elderly Japanese people are friendly, even though from my experience, most of them are quite friendly. It made me think because a lot of people have this idea in their head that, Japanese people aren't that friendly towards foreigners. They want people to go back to their countries and whatnot, especially in light of all these recent, IRL streamers going to Japan and making a mockery out of, Westerners. But I'm here to say that that's not true because, especially if you're in a big city in Tokyo, they come across foreigners every single day. And 99.999% of those foreigners that they come across are nice people. People that mind their own businesses, people who generally obey the rules, people who don't disrupt. And that's what Japanese people appreciate, especially the elder ones, because they love Japan. They've been here their entire lives. Most of the time when they were younger, they would only see other Japanese people. So to see people from all over the world being interested in Japan, that makes them feel prideful of their country. And so he looked at me and he said, thank you for coming. And at the time, I thought it was so interesting because it's like, You're welcome. I didn't come for you, obviously, but, I came. But it just made me think, because there's all kinds of problems that are facing Japan. There's all kinds of problems that are facing everybody in the world, really, every different nation. But the reality is, global cooperation, people showing interest in other people's struggles, experiences, and cultures is something that truly captivates people's hearts. If you want to be an interesting person, the first step is to become interested. And by interested, I mean being interested in people's cultures, experiences, asking questions, learning, being an active listener. And I promise you, no matter what field, whether you're going to Japan, you're going to Italy, going to France, people pay attention to that because people want to feel heard and appreciated. Now, do I think Japan is worth the money, worth the experience, worth the time? I would say an astounding absolutely yes. And you guys need to go there ASAP.